Well, hello, my name's Mark, and I go to Brixham Community Church. Three things that I wanted to share with you in three little videos as to why people do not believe in God. And in this first one, we'll look at the fact that people can't see God. And so they say, well, I'm sorry, but can't see something, I'm not going to believe it. But when you actually think about that, there are a lot of things that we take for granted that we believe in, and yet we cannot see. One thing that immediately springs to mind is electricity. We can't physically see electricity, but we know that it operates and works, and we see its effects. So that when you go to the wall and turn a light switch on, you expect light to appear. And more often than not, unless the bulb is broken or burnt out, light will appear. And so we see the effects of electricity, but we can't physically actually see electricity at work. Something else that springs to mind on this subject is the wind. Now, we often, bearing in mind where we are in this part of the world, I know for a fact that Berry Head gets some of the highest winds recorded in the country. And so the wind is something that we see the effects of it all the time. Trees blown down, we see the rough seas, we see all sorts of impacts that the wind has. But in actual fact, physically you cannot see the wind. All you see is the actual effect that it has. And so there it is. There are two things that I've mentioned to you that we believe and we know to be true, and yet we cannot physically see them. And so my challenge to you here is, just because we can't see God doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. And I know lots of people locally, nationally, and internationally, who have actually seen the effects that God has on people's lives. God has affected my life. He's changed my life for the better. And indeed, he can change your life for the better as well. But it's a case of coming to terms with the fact that just because you can't see something doesn't mean you cannot believe it. And the challenge for you as you watch perhaps this first video is to think that one through. That actually I cannot use that as a basis for not believing in God. Lots of people I know who didn't believe in God now. And it's your opportunity to search these things out. But in this first little clip, that's what I wanted you to think about. The fact you can't see something doesn't mean that it doesn't actually exist, because it does affect things. And God has affected my life, and I pray that he affects yours.